you have any comment on the FEC violation filed against your office?
There is no violation, so there's no violation found.
Do you think that's a sign of you taking dark money?
Oh, no.
Maybe. That was brand new reaction from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to a potential bombshell complaint filed with the Federal Election Commission against the freshman Democrat and her chief of staff. The allegations being lodged by the Conservative National Legal and Policy Center claim the Congresswoman and her top staffer improperly funneled nearly $900,000 in campaign contributions from political action committees to private companies.
The reason for the red flags here is because when all that money moved around between accounts that were controlled by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's chief of staff.
Her chief of staff, who himself is a financial whiz and a multimillionaire, he created a PAC and had people donate money into it. And that was his PAC. And then he shifted the money into an LLC that he also controlled. The reason why that looks suspicious is because the same rules don't govern an LLC for disclosure
the way they do
as a PAC.
Yeah.
It was all just labeled for strategic consulting. And the chief himself explained all this on national TV 3 years ago.
Our idea really is to run this single unified presidential style campaign that's going to look a lot like the Bernie Sanders campaign and use that model of, a single website for fundraising, a single like a giant national movement of volunteers contacting millions of voters.
But that might have been too broad because the law says specific payments need to be labeled specifically. So what comes next could be a big test for the freshman congresswoman, who is very enthusiastic about other people's financial records.
We should be talking about taxes, and his bank account, his financial statements, because that's where I think actually some of the most troubling practices are with direct relevance to the American people under the scope of oversight.
You might have noticed in that soundbite that played during the introduction, the Congresswoman was coming back at the airport, which was surprising to us because air travel is one of the things that gets phased out over time in the Green New Deal that she supports. Our crew asked her why she flew and didn't take the Amtrak train from New York down to Washington, D.C. She said because it saved a couple hours of her constituents' time.
I just don't think that you can really keep a pulse on what's going on in your community if you're not there every weekend, if you're not coming home, if you're not, if you're not deeply involved.
We all know that's not true, Peter. It's much faster taking via Acela. Peter Ducey, thank you very much.
But don't you think when you open up and attack people on finances and by saying no planes and no cows, and you caught eating meat and flying on planes and having meat on planes, there's a problem.
This story's more about her than it is. There's just an obsession with her.
Everything about her.